Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the It's Just Football podcast. I hope you're doing really, really well in these tough times in lockdown, but we'll all get through this, as we know. Two things before we start. Number one, thank you so much for the support we had on our previous episode. I think it got 221 views at the moment. We've just checked, and it's just surreal for all of us. We never thought we would get that, and from the bottom of all our hearts, me, Maani, Santi and I, it's amazing, and we thank you so much. Before we start, you might as well subscribe. It's free to do, and we would love you to. And there'll be a lot more content coming up because we haven't got anything else to do. But Maani, why don't you introduce our guest?
Thank you, Oscar. So today we've got a very special guest. We've got Barsam, Chelsea fan, as you can see. And Barsam, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks. Really honoured to be on the show. I've heard so much. It's obviously up there competing with the top fan channels and stuff. So it's great to be on the show and to have my say on the game. So yeah, thanks a lot for inviting me on.
Glad to hear, Barsam. Glad to hear. So Oscar, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so we've got a lot lined up for today's show. Obviously we've had Champions League and Europa League this week. I would know about that being a United fan, but we'll move on from that. So the first thing we're going to talk about is next manager in the Premier League to be sacked. Now I'm going to go to Maani first. Maani, who's your manager next to be sacked?
Well, it's not easy because, to be honest, I don't think there's many managers that are at very, very risk of being sacked, like Lampard was, let's say, in his last week. But I have a feeling that whilst Newcastle did kind of step up their form recently, I think that it will go down again, and I think Steve Bruce will go by the end of the season and they'll be relegated. I think Fulham can definitely overtake Newcastle. I think Santi will be happy about that. But that's my one. But I also think with Mourinho as well, he's obviously not at very risk to being sacked, but Mourinho was brought in to win trophies, and I think the Carabao Cup final, that'd be a great opportunity to secure his job at the end of the season. But Pochettino came top four, I think in most seasons he was at Tottenham, and apart from obviously when he got sacked. But Daniel Levy's brought in Mourinho to keep the top four spot and win trophies, and at the moment, then it does not look like they're going to get top four. So he needs to win a trophy, otherwise I think he'll be at risk too.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Maani. I also think that the injury of Callum Wilson for Newcastle could really affect them badly. Looking at their strike force now, Joelinton, well, we know about Joelinton. One of the most overpriced players the Premier League has ever seen. That's not an exaggeration. And you look at their strike force, yes, the loan signing of Joe Willock could boost their attacking options, and Almiron is in good form. But signings like Ryan Fraser, they never really got going. The only thing they've done is got a red card. But, they could turn it around now that there's extra pressure on them. But as we know, Newcastle, when they have a lot of pressure on them, they're not really delivering. They haven't really delivered for the last 10 years, if you actually look at the bigger picture. But that could change. You never know. But that's a great opinion, Maani. Santi, what's your opinion on next manager to be sacked?
Well, I am going to stick with the top four, top six teams. And I think really Spurs' form has really, really dropped from the start of the season. They were title contenders. Now they're top four, top six contenders. I would say Mourinho is going to probably leave before the season if he keeps dropping so hard, and especially if he goes out of the Europa League and all the cups they're in. If they perform badly, I really think he's going to go.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think Mourinho now he's washed up. I mentioned this last episode. How many more times can you play the style of football he's playing and expect the fans to be like, oh, that's brilliant? Even after London Derby, when they beat Arsenal 2-0, there was concerns of the way they were playing. But because they were winning, there was not much criticism of that. But now, they're winning against teams like Wolfsburg or whatever they're called last night, but they're not winning properly in the Premier League, the best league in the world. I think, a lot of people's eyes. So I think they've really got to now level up. And I think also they rely, look, this is United fans' opinion, but I do think their reliance on Kane and Son, they are brilliant players, don't get me wrong, but it's too heavy. Like, I think that Man United's reliance on Bruno is way too heavy. It is. And I think what they need to do, their defence needs to start functioning. And if they want to become and go and win trophies like they've been wanting to do for so many years, they need to sort out their centre-back options. Because Eric Dyer, the only reason why he's playing centre-back at the minute, because he speaks Portuguese, and Mourinho is probably like, oh, that's great. That's the only thing at the moment. So I think they really do. Barsam, what's your opinion on next manager to be sacked?
Well, for me, I had in between two managers, Roy Hodgson for Crystal Palace and Espirito Santos for Wolves. But I kind of edged more towards Roy Hodgson because obviously Wolves were in the Europa League last season. They got to the quarterfinals. I mean, in the space of 3 seasons, they've been promoted to the Premier League and they've been in Europe for 2 years. So I think they've had a drop of form this season, and we know that's to their main striker being out. And I think when he's back when he's back to his best, I think they'll be back to levels they were last season and even the start of this season, to be honest. But with Roy Hodgson, I've heard quite a bit coming out of Crystal Palace actually, and apparently Crystal Palace are going to be having a big kind of a makeover in the summer, because I don't know if you looked at their team, about 6 or 7 of their first team players are over the age of 30, and lots of them contracts running out at the end of the season. So apparently the hierarchy has said they're going to have a big makeover. Lots of players are going to be leaving, lots of players coming in. It's going to really be a big change, and I think Roy Hodgson might be part of that big change. I mean, he's as we know, he's the oldest manager in the Premier League. He's been around for a very long time, and I mean, with Crystal Palace, he doesn't seem to be doing much. He gets knocked out of the domestic cups early, finishes same place every single season. Just 14th, 15th, around there. It's not really no improvement, and I don't really see any point in him really continuing. So I think he's going to be part of the group that's going to be leaving the club in the summer. So I think it's going to be Roy Hodgson.
Yeah, Boston, that's actually a really brilliant point. They have been constantly around that 14th, 15th place for so long, and Crystal Palace fans have almost accepted it because they've not been relegated. But looking at the stars which are coming through now, Eze, he's a proper player. If you've watched him, he's really, really like a proper promising talent. You've got the likes of Wilfried Zaha, who has been around for so long, but I think a lot of top 6 teams would take him. Like, I know Arsenal fans would love him at their club because he just adds that kind of dynamic edge to the attacking force, and I think he's brilliant. And there are a lot of players. Maani, what's your opinion on that?
I think, just adding to Barsam's point with Crystal Palace, and Oscar, you mentioned Zaha there, but we talk about Mourinho kind of relying on, say, Kane and Son, and then also Newcastle kind of relying on Wilson a bit. But I think Crystal Palace's reliance on Zaha is ridiculous. Like when he's not playing, they just look so flat, and like I think that you can't really compete in the top half of the table unless obviously you're Tottenham, you have better players, but you can't really compete and improve if you rely on one player so much.
Yeah, that's a really important. That's my worry. If Bruno gets injured for Man United, or Son or Kane gets injured for Tottenham, it's good night Vienna. You can see Man City, De Bruyne is out. You can hardly tell. They're still functioning, and that is, the positive of just having billions and billions of pounds invested in you. And that's great for Man City, but we could have that, but our board, can't manage a nursery. But anyway, next topic. Now, this week, when we're recording this, we've witnessed some brilliant performances in that Champions League. We've seen Mbappe and Haaland take the headlines, storm the world, and think, is it now the time, the changing of the guard from Ronaldo and Messi? Is it going to be now Haaland and Mbappe? Now, there's been a lot of talk on this week. Who is better? And that's inevitable for the media. Anything to get, views or clicks. But we're going to go to Santi first. Santi, you're a Real Madrid fan. They're both heavily linked with you. Who is better, Haaland or Mbappe?
It is a very, very good question, that one. Mbappe is just got the edge, I think, right now. He's just got more experience, I think, with a high tier team, and Mbappe's been winning trophies as well. So I think right now I'd take Mbappe, but Haaland's closely linked with Real Madrid as well, being a bit more less expensive, I would say, as well. But in general, like if they were both the same price, same level, I think Mbappe, with his pace, with his capacity to do what he did to Barca, is just incredible.
I think that's spot on. A lot of people were saying that, it's easy to score a hat-trick against Barcelona. And I'll admit, it is a lot easier than it used to be. But still doing that on the biggest stage in the world and producing like his third goal, that finish is world class. It really is. And I think Mbappe now, if I was him, I wouldn't do an Upamecano. I wouldn't stay in the same league, because League One, you can always get what you want every season. You can always get that League One title. The PSG will always win that with their funding and their owners. They'll always win it. But if Mbappe, in my opinion, wants to become what Lionel Messi and Ronaldo have done and achieved, and if he wants to replicate that, he has got to 100% go and look for a Premier League club or a Spanish club like Real Madrid, because I think Real Madrid now, this season, and Santi, I think you'll back this up, they are going to spend a lot of money in this summer window. And I don't know if anyone disagrees with me on that, but if you look at their squad, Marcelo, Deadwood, there's a lot of Deadwood in that squad. There's a lot of players like Jovic even, who have never delivered. So I think now what Real Madrid are going to do is stand out a statement saying the Spanish Giants will return, because this season they've been far off it. But Barsam, what's your opinion on Haaland Mbappe?
Just one thing on that Real Madrid thing. I mean, obviously they haven't spent, a single penny in the last two seasons, in January and in summer. And the build up and all the talks been that this summer they'll be spending huge amounts of money. But as we know, they're building a new stadium, they're renovating their stadium, and that's going to already cost hundreds of millions. So I don't think that we can be too sure that they will be spending huge amounts, especially on top of that with the coronavirus as well. I don't think that is almost. I don't think that's confirmed, or that can be, it can be assured to anyone, to Real Madrid fans or to any football fans, that they will be spending big in the summer. But as they are Real Madrid, they are the biggest club in the world. They are the biggest, that's the Champions League trophies they've won. The amount of titles they have to their name. They are the biggest club in the world, and because of that, they're going to be linked to players like Mbappe and Haaland. That's inevitable. That's just the way it is. But with between Mbappe and Haaland, I've been hearing lots of talk about it during the week as well, and I see a lot more people edging towards Mbappe. But they're both attackers, and as an attacker, you want goals. And I think eventually Haaland will be scoring more goals. He's an out-and-out striker. He plays as a number 9. Mbappe can play anywhere across, top 3, can play on the left, on the right. And I think if you were to compare the two of them to the likes of Ronaldo and Messi, that's what all the talk's been about. I think Haaland's more like Ronaldo, and Mbappe can be compared more to Messi. And as we've seen, Ronaldo, he's more ruthless. He's got more goals. He's the one which turns up in the big moments and that kind of stuff. And I think Mbappe, before his hat trick on Tuesday night, he hadn't scored since that match they won at the Champions League or something. Whereas with Haaland, he's scored against every single opponent he's played against in the Champions League all the way, from the beginning with Salzburg up to Dortmund now. So I think I'm gonna have to edge towards Haaland, and that's my reasoning for it.
It's a great reasoning, Barsam. I have to agree with you there. When you look on Borussia Dortmund's results on 4-3-3, Haaland just always appears to be on that score sheet, and now it's becoming like a regularity that Haaland will always score, and he's just a goal-scoring machine. Like when he burst onto the scene when he came from Salzburg to Dortmund, everyone was like, "Oh, this is not going to be sustainable." He's obviously going to have a dip in form, but if you look at it, he really hasn't. The goals and numbers he's getting is amazing. And I think if he carries this on, like Messi and Ronaldo did at this age, he's really, really going to take off. And I think he could definitely challenge Mbappe. And I really do agree with your point that he is a more consistent goal scorer than Mbappe. Maani, what's your opinion? Haaland, Chelsea, what are you thinking there?
Well, look, I think Oscar, you mentioned it in the beginning of the topic there. You said the media are obviously they're gonna compare the two young players in form. I think comparing them is slightly unfair. Look, I think Haaland's only kind of been on the goal scoring and the goal scoring scene, and he's only been at Dortmund for like a year now. Mbappe's been here for a bit longer than that, and as Barsam said, he's got a bit more experience. I think at the moment, yeah, you would. I think for me, Mbappe is a better player. But in terms of how much potential they've got, I think they will both go right to the very top, similar to Messi and Ronaldo. Whether they reach the same heights as that, it would be amazing if they did, because I saw today, if Haaland was to reach the same level of like the same amount of goals as Ronaldo, he would have to score 44 goals for the next season each year until he gets to age 35, and that would be amazing. And I think he definitely can do that, and both of them can do that. As Barsam said, I think Haaland will have more goals. He's more of an out-and-out striker. Mbappe can play anywhere along the front three. But yeah, I'd take any one of them at Chelsea. Obviously, we've been more linked with Haaland. Whether that will happen, I don't know. But yeah, for me, I think Mbappe probably edges it if you're talking like right now. But they're both going to be unbelievable players.
Yeah, I thought you brought up a good point, Maani, there, of the stat you brought up. I think what that shows is how good Ronaldo and Messi have been. I think it is very underappreciated. You know, you always talk about, Ronaldo and Messi are the best players people in the world, right? People can just say that, but they don't realize the stats, the numbers they produce season after season. And I think what we're going to see now is people going, hang on, this is amazing records. These are amazing feats of goals these two players have done, and just showing how hard it is to maintain it. And I think that is one thing over the last 4 years which has been taken for granted, if I'm honest, really, really has done. And I think now we're going to see the media and just a normal football fan realise the numbers that these two players have produced over the season. So that was very good, lads. Well done. That was a good digression of those two brilliant and exciting prospects for the future. So now we're going to go back to relegation, doing a little switch. So, Barsam, going to go to you first. 3 teams which are going to get relegated. It's hard to call now, but what are you thinking?
Well, obviously, currently as we speak, bottom of the table, we've got, Sheffield United, West Brom and Fulham. And to be honest, I don't see much changing, if I'm honest. I think Sheffield will get relegated, obviously coming off the back of such an impressive season, where they impressed everyone. They went above their expectations. They finished 7th, 8th, and it was a really impressive season from them. And I think no one really expected. I mean, what's happened with them this season? It's been really odd. It's been out the blue, and I think with the amount of games we've got left, and they're over 10 points adrift from safety. I don't really see any way back from them. Obviously, I think in the last few games, they've got a few wins. I think that's been their best run so far this season, but I don't think that'll be able to save them. And I think I think they're going to finish last, and I think they're for sure going to be relegated. West Brom, obviously, they're only 2 points above them in the table. Yet again, they're more than 10 points adrift. I mean, obviously, their manager, he's known for getting teams out of the relegation zone, saving them, and not one team that he's been with has been relegated. And obviously, currently, as it stands, I mean, you don't even think that he can save them. But with the history and with what he's capable of doing, I have to say I do believe West Brom. I don't think they'll be relegated. I think they'll just manage to survive. And I feel that Fulham, I don't think that Fulham can do it. I mean, obviously they've been on very good form of late. With their manager, what's he called? Scott Parker, that's it. And they have been on good form, but I think with Fulham, their team just isn't good enough. You could say the same about West Brom, but I would have said the same about West Brom, but because they're on transfer deadline day, they got 5 new players in. I mean, international as well as from UK as well. And I think that those 5 players could potentially save them. But with Fulham, I really just don't see them staying up. And I think, they've been doing well of late, but I just don't think that's going to be enough to save them. So I think, Sheffield United, Fulham, and then with my final one, I was kind of stuck between Newcastle, Brighton, and Burnley. And obviously, Burnley, I think they'll do enough to stay up. Obviously, I think it was a couple of seasons ago, they finished really high up. They got into the Europa League qualifiers, even though they didn't actually qualify for the actual thing. They made it to qualifiers, and I think ever since they just haven't been able to reach those standards that they hit that level. And I think they've just been kind of gradually just going lower and lower down the table. But I don't think that will be. I don't think they'll fall into the relegation zones. Then I'm left with Brighton and Newcastle. Obviously, with Newcastle, we know they're in very, very bad form. I think, earlier on discussions, I think it was Maani or Santi, one of you guys said that you think Steve Bruce will be the next manager sacked. And I think that, because of that, and just, I think there's going to be so much ups and downs this season for them as it's been already. And I think with the change of manager, which I think will happen, I don't think Steve Bruce will last till the end of the season. I think that Newcastle will be my third team. They're one of those teams that are always around the area, just like the Crystal Palace. It's just like, the Burnleys of recent. And I think they're going to be my third team that are going to drop down with the likes of West Brom and Sheffield. Sorry, no, with the likes of Fulham and Sheffield, sorry.
Yeah, thanks for that, Watson. That was really, really good. I think I do agree with you with the bottom two. I think your other one was a bit controversial, but Fulham and Sheffield United. Sheffield United, I know they're beating United, which wasn't a good day, but we get over things. I think they just left them too much to do. It's like cramming last minute revision, like 4 hours of some holiday work into the last evening of the summer holiday. It's too much to do. You can't. It's not sustainable. And I think with their signings in the January transfer, I think they only made one, which is not good enough, if I'm honest. So that's them. And I think Fulham, I agree with you. But yeah, Maani, what are you thinking? What are you thinking?
Right. So I think Burnley definitely going to stay up. I think Sean Dyche is a great manager, and he works very well with that Burnley squad. And obviously they've dropped off in form over the last 2 years, as Barsam's mentioned, but I think they will definitely stay up. I think it's between the bottom 5 at the moment, which is Brighton, Newcastle, Fulham, West Brom, Sheffield. For me, Sheffield, they're going down, as you said, but there's not much to say. West Brom, they'll get those draws against the big teams. They got against United, they got against City, and some other teams as well. But I don't think they've got enough to stay up. I do think Big Sam will stay though, and they could do very well in the Championship. In terms of the last spot, I back Fulham. I think Scott Parker's done a really good job over the last couple of weeks. That win against Everton was really, really good for their confidence. And Maja looks like a very good player. He scored 2 good goals. Also, Ruben Loftus-Cheek from Chelsea, he looks like he's back on form again. And I think they'll stay up. So I think, as I said earlier, Steve Bruce is going to be sacked before the end of the season, and it's going to be Newcastle, West Brom, and Sheffield for me.
Yeah, sorry for any viewers. Barsam just gone to get his charger. I hope you sympathise with that. That's fine. Santi, the resident Fulham fan, what are you thinking with the relegation? Because it does concern you a lot. What are you thinking?
It is concerning me a bit, but I do have to disagree with Barsam a lot. I think Fulham are improving significantly with this win at Everton. I think our hopes and our players are going to be much more confident going into the next games, knowing we can beat teams contending, trying to be top 6. And I really think we can edge ourselves out of the relegation zone. Even though it's 6 points away, I do think Newcastle will keep losing and keep dropping points. So I do see us just staying on 17th or 16th. And I think Sheffield and West Brom have nothing to do, to be honest. 12 points away from Newcastle. And I think, yeah, it'll be Sheffield, West Brom and Newcastle for me.
Yeah, that was brilliant, lads. I thought we have got contrasting opinions, but, a lot is said in football, but if you don't justify your opinion, you're not going to get anywhere. And I think that's where the Sun could actually, benefit, because they just say stuff without, giving it, justifying it. But well done, lads. That was really, really good. I think we can fit it in. So we're going to fit it in. Last night, Man United destroyed Real Sociedad. They clattered them, right? Played them off the park, just there was nothing. So I'm going to ask a question now. I'm going to give you a chance before I'm going to give my opinion. Is Bruno Fernandes, the GOAT, the best player in the world at the moment? Go. Maani, you're there? You're sitting there. What are you thinking?
Absolutely not.
Right,
Look,
okay.
Oscar, I think you're getting carried away over a win against Sociedad. Look, I think. Look, I mean, if you think best player in the world, no, no.
Would you say he's the best midfielder in the world? I've said best in play in the world at the moment. Best midfielder in the world at the moment. And be honest.
I mean, yeah, you could say that, but look, he's doing very well at United. He's carrying them very, very well. When he's on the pitch, they win matches. But look, I mean, I know it sounds bad because I don't really have anyone else I can think of right now. That there's players like Kimmich, Gundogan, they're all contenders at the moment. But you could say Bruno is the best midfielder in the world at the moment. When Kevin De Bruyne gets back on form, when Kevin De Bruyne gets back on form, I think.
But it's at the moment
when City win the league.
If you say best midfield in the last 3 years, I'm happily going to say De Bruyne.
But okay.
But at the moment,
you can say that. But Kevin De Bruyne is injured.
I know, but he wasn't injured from January from September to January, and he only scored. I don't think he scored one open play goal. And we all call him. All the haters say Fernandes. They all do. But I'm telling you now, this player, every single game, sits down more and more haters, and the only haters who still think he's bad and only scores pens are the ones who wish that he was in his team, because he's that good. He has solely carried Manchester United from a team which was going to get sick at that last season. Okay, coming home from a 2-0 loss at Burnley at home, right? Remember that, at home. And transforming that team the way he's done, and transforming it this season as well. No one expected after that 6-1 Spurs loss we would even be close to the top of the league. We were top of the league for a bit, and now we're second. We've not had a good run of form, and City are going to win this. But I'm telling you now, there is not one player at the moment who I go, has he performed more consistently and better than Bruno Fernandes in the world at the moment? No, I don't look at anyone. Santi, what are you thinking?
I am thinking he's been fantastic. He has been very good, but I wouldn't classify him as the best player in the world. That is just.
Okay. I wouldn't. I just need to stress something. Not an Arsenal fan, right? I do accept he's not the best player in the world by miles. He's not, right? That is a fact. But I think at the moment now, he is the best midfielder in the world, and that is my opinion. Santi, carry on.
Yeah, midfielder. I would agree. I would agree to the midfielder, because he's really done magic with Man United. Man United were last season, they were a different team. This season, Fernandes has taken over. He has scored many pens, but just overall he's been extraordinary. And I do agree with you, but yeah, I don't know. He's just been different player. He's been scoring everything, and just transformed Man United into an even title contender team.
Very good answer. I respect that a lot. Barsam, you have a friend called Jamie who thinks he's a pen merchant. A bit delusional. But anyway, Barsam, what's your view? What's your view?
Right, if I'm absolutely honest with you, Oscar, I don't agree with you at all. I mean, Bruno Fernandes is the best midfielder at the moment, not a chance. I think all Bruno Fernandes has done since he came in last January is shown how bad United were. I mean, he's got them to, the title contenders. Well done. You haven't won anything, have you? You made it to 3 semi-finals. Well done. He's just shown how bad. Imagine the last year without Bruno Fernandes. Just imagine that. How bad that. All he's done is improve, guys. But he hasn't got you to where Manchester United should be. All he's done is he's covered up some cracks in your team. Yeah, he just covered up some cracks in the teams, and he's made you look better, and he's helped you. Obviously, he has the impact he's had.
Isn't that what a signing is meant to do? Isn't that what a good signing is meant to? I know Chelsea haven't done many of those, but a good signing covers up those cracks and makes your team into a team and revolutionizes it. That is what one signing's done to that team. What could a centre back do? What could a quick centre back do? What could a proper number 9 do?
Yeah,
that has shown to the board what one signing and what one brilliant midfielder can do to a team and transform it into a 6th, 7th, 5th team to doing very well.
Okay, fine, okay. But then I think Maani touched upon it. Joshua Kimmich. I mean, in the last year, Bayern Munich, they've won 6 trophies, matching Barcelona's 2009. The only team to do it was Barcelona back in 2009. And I think throughout the whole 6 trophies he's played in all 6 of those finals. He's played for the games leading up to them, and I think he's been able to play in the midfield. He's also been able to drop into the right back position if necessary. I Leon Goretzka there, but he's been injured of late. He's missed. He actually missed the trip to Qatar for the Club World Cup. So I have to say Joshua Kimmich. I mean, that's what you want. I mean, someone who's a really good midfielder who can actually win something. He knows that the team is going to win something. All good for Bruno Fernandes. He's changing the team and all that. He's won nothing. I mean, listen, when you guys aren't contenders and you actually win something, then yeah, sure, you can be up there with. I mean, you always talk about the best play, the team that win the biggest trophy. Like last year when Real Madrid, a few years ago, they went on and won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. We were always picking out players from that team, saying, "Oh, he's the best in the world. He's the best in the world." I mean, you've got a team from 7th to title contenders, and right now, I don't think many people can say the title contenders anymore. City are now 10 points clear from Wednesday. I mean, what's he actually done? He's made you guys better. All good for that. I've said that a couple of times now, but until he's actually won something for you guys, and you can see the difference. And I think that's going to show the proper difference when he's actually won something big. Then you can compare him to the likes of Joshua Kimmich. I think right now Joshua Kimmich is the best midfielder. But can I just say one thing? Alongside Toni Kroos, I know, obviously, Santi, I know you're a big Real Madrid fan. You obviously watch all their games. And Toni Kroos has been really, really good in that midfield. Obviously, as Real Madrid has been struggling a lot this season. They haven't had that many consistent players. Their team's not looking as strong as it was a few years ago. But I think Toni Kroos in the midfield there, he's been very good. I've never really seen him drop off form. I think alongside Modric is doing very, very well at the moment as well. But yet again, they're not winning. I mean, they've knocked out all the trophies apart from the Champions League. I doubt they want to win that. So yet again, I can't really say he's even competing with Joshua Kimmich as well. I think right now Joshua Kimmich, and I think just nudges Goretzka, and I think Joshua Kimmich is right now the most consistent. He's the best midfielder right now, me personally.
Yeah, that fair point, Barsam. You did justify opinion. I think your opinion on Bruno Fernandes is a typical Chelsea one. But anyway, we'll move on. Right. Now we've got questions from you. So you can, if you're not following our Insta, please do. It's _just_football_podcast_. A lot of underscores there. But we would love you to, and we do like interactive polls. We analyse players, and you can, before every podcast night, we open up a page where you can DM us questions, and we've received quite a lot this week. So we're really sorry. We're going to have to trim down the best questions. If you do a good question, we're going to answer it. And the first question is from Sachin. If you're watching Sachin, great question, right? Apart from Phil Foden, who is the best youngster in the Premier League? And I'm going to go to Santi first. Santi, what are you thinking? Let's make this short.
I would think Foden is the best youngster by far. But I'm going to back Arsenal fans here. I think Saka's been very good. Arsenal have been terrible. Aubameyang and Lacazette have dropped form massively. And I think Xhaka and Saka and some other players have brought Arsenal back to life a bit. I wouldn't say too much because they haven't improved it's enough to be top four. But I say Saka is after Foden.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. Obviously, there's that debate of Greenwood or Saka, but looking at it now, Greenwood, he was brilliant last season. He's not quite lived up to what he was last season by any means. And Saka has pulled Arsenal from 15th, which is quite funny. Arsenal fans thought they were going to win the league after Fulham, first game of the season. But we move. I just think that now Saka just needs to go to a city. I know this will cause a lot of stir, but I think if he wants to really become a good player, imagine him in a Pep Guardiola system. He could be brilliant as a wing back. He's brilliant. Callum Hudson-Odoi is a shout. He is a shout, right? But I just think Saka is just, honestly, he will become something really special at the Euros, hopefully. He really will. And I hope he brings that bloody Euro home. But anyway, I definitely think that he will need to do a big move soon, because Arsenal now, we know, are not a top six side. That's just a fact. And I think he needs to go to a proper big club. Barsam, make this a bit short because we've got to go to everyone's questions. But
so just very quickly, just on Arsenal, that, as you said, they're not a top six side, but they are still a big six side. And I think that the reason why they're not a top six side is because they are so bad, Arsenal. I mean, they're just so bad. I mean, everything about them. I mean, just their fans are happy to see Cedric starting in that. Cedric, he's come on a free from Southampton. They're happy to see Cedric play. Yeah, we got Pablo Mari. We got Pablo Mari to step in for David Luiz. But David Luiz starting your team. The expectations that Arsenal fans have for that team right now just shows what Arsenal have become. And I think without Saka in that team, I mean, they would literally. I mean, there would be absolutely nothing. I mean, we'd be playing in this Newcastle if we're not already. I mean, honestly, they should be worried, Arsenal fans. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. The expectations have collapsed for Arsenal. I think 16 years ago, even Pires was like, sometimes on the bench. The expectations, because they haven't won anything for so long. You see on AFTV now, when you go onto the team news, when they do a live stream, they're like, get in, Cedric Suarez is starting. Like, it is embarrassing. It really is. And I think it shows. And if there are any Arsenal fans, please do DM us and say what your opinion is at the moment. Because I think if you really look at the bigger picture, you shouldn't be in these positions every season. Somehow you're always in 10th, you're in 8th, you're in 6th or something. And then you come at the end of the season and go, oh, we got 7th, but we're in the Europa League. We're doing all right. But it's just like every season there's a continued cycle. I think Arsenal need to break out of this. Maani, I do apologise. We just got to get through everyone's questions. I do. Oh, okay, yeah. Go quickly.
Just really, really quickly. For me, look, Saka's very, very good. And I think in a close third or even above Saka is Pedro Neto. I think what he's done with the Wolves this season, without Jimenez, he's managed to kind of keep their form up slightly. Like his goal, like last weekend, was really, really good against Southampton. But yeah, that was my thing. Yeah,
that's really, it's a great shout, Pedro Neto. I think when Jimenez comes back, his numbers will just go boom because of the assists, the goals. Jimenez's build-up players we know is brilliant. So I think that's a really, really good shout. Next question from Soph. Thank you for the question. Who is Chelsea's most underrated player? I'll go first. I'm going to say Giroud. Right, I think Giroud is really underrated. I think he was the Europa League top scorer in 18-19. You won it that year, obviously. He has produced big goals on a daily basis. To pick an example, Man United in the semi-final, getting that first goal. That wasn't a good day for me. That was not a good day. Probably one of the worst days of my life. But anyway, I think Aston Villa, a month ago, actually, really. Oh, no, that was December. Sorry, 2 months ago, roughly. It was a good goal. He just keeps on delivering. And whenever he starts, he scored on the weekend again. Whenever he starts, he just seems to be on that score sheet. And I think he will leave at the end of the summer, which I do think is quite upsetting. But I think he's not appreciated enough at Chelsea and what he's done, because their strikers over the last 10 years have been shocking. We all know that. Like, the Costa is an exception, I'll admit that. But, got the likes of Morata, Torres. They're not good for what the price has said, right? And I think Werner is close to falling into that trap, but I hope he falls out of it. I like Werner. I think he will be very, very good. So, Santi, your most underrated player at Chelsea?
Well, I agree with you, but I'm also going to go with Hudson-Odoi. I think also when he starts, he delivers. When he comes on, even if it's like, I don't know, the 80th minute, I think he scored a goal, just coming on the 80th minute, creating some chances, making an impact in the game. I think he's a really good player, and he's just doesn't start enough. The likes of Havertz and stuff start in front of him, and I really don't agree with that.
I think he adds that dynamic edge to Chelsea's play, that little spark in attack, which I think they were missing under that Lampard period. I do think that. I think that little spark, that little, burst of pace, I think really does add to Chelsea's attack. Maani, thoughts?
Oscar, I'm going to agree with you. I think this may sound a bit controversial, but we've made some big money signings recently as well. But I think since Kante, Giroud has been our best signing. He, as you said, when he comes on, he scores and turns up the big moments. I agree with you on that point. I think Santi as well. I think, Hudson-Odoi, he's underrated amongst rival fans, amongst Chelsea fans. We all love him. And I think under Tuchel, I think he could be really good. We've seen Tuchel really likes him, especially in that wing-back position. And I think over the next, hopefully more than 2 years that Tuchel's here, Callum could become a very, very good player.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think Tuchel, his style of play fits Callum Hudson-Odoi perfectly. that fast, dynamic wing back who adds that edge to the play, and I think he can also defend. Which is, I didn't know that was in his game. So fair play to him, and I think he had a poor season last year, and he really has been on the scene for quite a while. I know that sounds weird, but he has been in that Chelsea name for about 2 or 3 years now, and injuries like Loftus-Cheek have affected him badly. But I think now he's starting to really, really find the position and the system which he works in. And I think, weirdly, the sacking of Lampard helped him to discover a new position, a new role, and a new edge, and a new style to his play. So I think that's a really good point, Maani. I think, Barsam, what's your opinion? Make this short, because we've got to get around to everyone's question, but go for it.
I've got to say Kepa Arrizabalaga. No, I've got to say Mateo Kovacic. I'm not going to say Mason Mount, because the fact that he's spoken about so much in the wrong reasons for me personally. You got all the pundits and stuff, all the pundits they're saying all the right stuff about how good he is, but then you got all these rival fans saying how bad. And that just shows because they're jealous. They're jealous that we've got such a world class phenomenon. He's one for the future. Straight away. So I'm not going to talk about Mason Mount, because we all know that he's the next. I'm not going to say Ronaldo, Messi, but potentially. But no, I've got to say Kovacic, because the fact that Kante's been back from injury, I think about 3-4 games now, and the fact that both Jorginho and Mateo Kovacic have not allowed him to get back, and in the last, I don't know, since he's been at Chelsea, he's been referred to as the best defensive midfielder in the world, and I think Jorginho, I'm not going to say Jorginho, because I think Jorginho suits Tuchel's style, kind of that pivot midfielder, that kind of player. So I think that's why he's not getting out of the squad. But I think Kovacic is the one that could dip in and out for Kante. And I think the fact he just gets the ball and he just runs forward, he pushes forward. Yeah. He's not always passing around. He's that one that can actually spark something here or there. I think that he's really underappreciated. And I think Chelsea, we have that perfect balance with our 3 main midfielders, Kante, Jorginho, Kovacic. Kante is that one that, he'll win back the ball and you'll then pass the ball to like a Kovacic, for example, who will run forward, or you'll pass it to a Jorginho who will do that amazing ball over the top to like one of our wingers.
We must stress Barsam's a big fan of Jorginho. If you don't know already, I think He is. But Barsam, that was good. That was good. I think you've
So just very
answered that
quickly,
well.
very quickly.
Go on.
Can I say very quickly just the one thing? Just before there, you said that Timo Werner's up there. Well, he could be up there with the likes of Fernando Torres and
I didn't say that. I know what I said. I said he could be. He was close to falling into that trap, but I think he will go out of it like he's shown.
He was close. But just here's some statistics for you. So far this season, all these 4 players, obviously they're in the domestic competitions as well as in European competitions. So this is completely fair, these statistics, okay? So far this season, Anthony Martial, okay, has got 15 goals and 15 goal contributions so far this season. Sadio Mane, 16 goals and assists combined.
Barsam.
Sorry, this is combined, yeah?
We know.
Jamie Vardy, who was compared to Kun Aguero at some point, 19 goals and assists, and Timo Werner's title with Jamie Vardy. So obviously, whoever says whatever they want to say it about Havertz. Havertz shocking. I mean, he's done nothing. He's just been injured. He's been in and out, COVID, whatever. But Timo Werner, I think he's really he's really starting to show what he's doing, and I think this kind of stats that backs him up with what he's done so far this season.
I think Barsam, the only reason why people think he's not that good is because I think the stats he got could have been a lot more because of his open goal misses. I think that's the only thing there. But last question.
Yeah.
And let's make this quick because we don't want to run over too much. This is actually from and by the way, please, I'm really sorry, but we will get around to all your questions next week. I think it'll be on Sunday, Maani, the next episode, will it? Yeah, Sunday. We'll answer all of them, so you will get answered. It's just we cannot fit it in with all the podcast material. But thank you as well again. So Gonzalo says, right, and this is for the Real Madrid fans and also for many other people. Will Zidane be kicked by the end of the season? Maani, what are you thinking?
I don't think so. Look, Madrid haven't been at their best this season at all. Santi will say that many times. But I don't really see at the moment anyone who can really come in and do a better job than Zidane. And look, it is Real Madrid. They have spent a lot of money in the last few years. But if you look at their squad right now, they can definitely improve it. And in the summer, as Santi said, Florentino Perez's credit card is going to be quite busy. It's going to be spending a lot of money. And yeah, I think I don't think he'll be gone by the end of the season. So no.
Yeah, I think Zidane is a bit underappreciated. Like in his first spell, Santi, was it 3 Champions Leagues he won? I think it was, wasn't it?
Indeed.
Like 3, yeah. Like that's astonishing. Like really is astonishing. And I know people go, "Oh, it's the Ronaldo effect," but you still have to do it. Your tactics, your squad, you still have to perform on the biggest stage of the world. So I think he is a brilliant, and I think this season it's kind of been like a cohesion season, if that makes sense. Like, got Deadwood and you've got new players and you're just going to form. And then with Florentino, you're going to form into this bubble, get rid of the Deadwood and really go for it and re-emerge as a proper Spanish Giants. Santi, as the resident Real Madrid fan, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking we haven't been at our best at all. We've let our rivals Atletico go on and probably have a very easy win if they don't underperform. But I think Champions League, even though we have 7 or 8 people injured now, today Benzema's gone injured as well. I do think Zidane's going to have a tough job this season, but hopefully in the summer we'll get some fresh players, some good players as well. We need just a new squad. We need Marcelo out. Yeah. All these people need to move on with their lives, and we need to really improve our squad if we want to be back to the Real Madrid in 2017.
Definitely, I think that's a great point. I think you've now got to do a rebuilding process, because in that squad, there's too many people who've been around for too long. It's a bit like the Liverpool attack at the moment. You know, I think you've got too many people who have just been there for too long, and they're not really adding anything new. And I think La Liga teams especially have figured out what those players can do and what they're doing. Like Marcelo, you played against Marcelo now, and I think a lot of right wingers and right backs know what Marcelo will do because he's just been at that system at Real Madrid for so long. Barsam, I'm really sorry. We just don't have time, but we will put your opinion on that on the Instagram story. So if you would like to see Barsam's opinion, we'll put it on the Instagram. Barsam, do text that to me. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure as usual. And make sure to hit that like button and do subscribe because it's free and you might as well do it. Just tilt your phone. It will be, and it means so much to us. Thank you again to Barsam. Barsam's been a great guest, as an exuberant Chelsea fan, as we knew before and knew now, and he's presented that to the eyes of many. But thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time, which will be on Sunday, but we've got a match preview tomorrow with a West Ham fan and a Tottenham fan, so stay tuned for that. But thank you very much for watching. See you on Sunday. Thank you.